Happy Christmas week, everybody. How are you doing? Have you overdone the mince pies? Are you in your eating pants? Have you got eating pants for Christmas?
Oh,
Gary?
we definitely need.
You have different
Stretchy
variations
waist.
of
Yeah.
stretchy waist, nice and comfy. Would you ever stay in your pajamas all day on Christmas Day? People do that, don't they? Not sure.
Yeah, if I wasn't good, well, because I run, generally I'll go for a run, but yeah, I have no issue whatsoever.
Have you always gone for a run on Christmas Day? Is it part of the sort of day routine?
Since I became addicted to running.
Became addicted.
Yes. What about you?
What does that Christmas Day... I've got so many questions. What does that Christmas Day run look like? Do you do a session? Is it an easy run?
Do you do a session?
Some of my athletes have set sessions for, because I think if I put a session, you'll get it done. If I don't, you won't go wrong.
Bells, fair play. Doing a session on Christmas Day. No, I would just do the village loop.
The classic village loop. Are you festive attiring?
Yeah, I might have something on. I've got my Red Bear Sports Christmas.
Hope you've got something on. Just a little, sort of little baubles over the baubles.
I'm such a Scrooge though. I want to get it done really early so I don't see people, because people want to chat with you when you see them on Christmas Day.
That's why you go early. I like to go early because then it's done and I'm back. And if I can go early now the kids are a bit older, I can even go early pre-wake up and then be back in my dressing gown and cup of tea.
You'll go back into the dressing gown.
I do that every day, Gary. If I've not got school run and stuff to do, this is a terrible thing. I'll get changed downstairs because I'm first up and I don't want to wake anybody up. I'll put my running curve. I'll go running. I'll come back, put my running kit straight in the washing machine, and at the washing machine, I'll change back into my jammies and dressing gown and then have a cup of tea and then go upstairs and probably back 2 hours later. It's a bit disgusting, isn't it? Anyway, everybody, hi! Wherever you're running on Christmas week, whenever you're listening to this, we wish you festive greetings and hope that you are sneaking out for maybe a Christmas Eve run, Christmas Day run, Boxing Day run. And if you haven't got the time, it's no drama. Just enjoy time with family or even time alone.
You sounded Greek then.
Did I? Yeah. My Greek roots really coming through. I've managed to hide them for the last 5 years. Thanks Phoenix Light for sponsoring this week's interview. The best design comes from the actual needs of users. Phoenix takes providing mobile lighting products with excellent performance as a goal and born for harsh environments as its mission. Never forget where you started and your mission can be accomplished. Head over to www.phoenixlight.co.uk to find out more. And don't forget, patrons can enjoy 10% and you lovely listeners can get 5% off with the code TNT5. All the discount codes are either in the description, Linktree or Patreon.
Phoenix Light Up Your Limits global story campaign is live. Show Phoenix your epic adventures with Phoenix products and share your stories for a chance to win. Are you sitting down, Eddie?
Yeah. Sorry,
a slice of $20,000.
Shut up.
How do you enter? Right, okay, so you need to share your photos, videos of your adventures with the hashtag Phoenix Break Limits and tag at Phoenix Light. Or you can email your stories to marketing_10@phoenixlight.com. Okay, so that $20,000, that's going to be distributed in 4 stages with the $200 guarantee for each winner in every stage. Also got monthly picks too, where you'll win exclusive Phoenix products. Share your extreme moments with Phoenix. They can't wait to see your stories. This is a Phoenix competition. It's nothing to do with tea and trail. So for more details, I would head over to @PhoenixLight on Instagram for all the information.
I'd love to get one of the kids running down the lane, all of them spoilt children, none of them having to use their phone for lights and Phoenix Light head torches jogging down. This week we have a chat with Andy Imms. Now, Andy Imms, we reckon you can't find another podcast this guy's been on because Gary can't, and Gary can find anything. By the way, he can find anything, any deets on anyone. He's actually a professional podcaster instigator. I love chatting all about the Backyard Ultra format. Got a couple of athletes training for these next year, some big lofty goals. And it's probably like, I've done a lot of running. I've done a lot of it multi-days. I've done 100 milers, 50 milers, 50Ks. I've done big 200 miles. But in my skill set and experience is not a Backyard Ultra. And I feel it's a little chink in my armour that could be missing. Should I experience what that feels like? And I was going to ask you if you do it with me.
I would do it, but I really like the idea of a finish line and being competitive you got to be prepared to be out there for days and days.
Would we be prepared to that? You'd be like, Eddie, you've got to record this interview. And I'd be like, well, I'm still running. And you'd be like, this is not an excuse. You signed a contract. You get it and you perform, Eddie, and you do it on the run.
Robbo, my cheerleader, he thinks I'd be quite good at backyard ultras, but he boosts me. No matter what, Robbo will give me a boost.
Of course, yeah. Does he tell you look good and everything you wear as well? And your butt's sensational,
always.
amazing calves. Yeah. Do you know, it's not the no finish line and stuff that scares me. It's the stopping and starting and the getting cold and having to get up again, because that's the thing I find the hardest. If I double run day, is that second run of starting again?
Well, I can't understand it. If you just have 5 minutes chat with somebody on the trail, you try and run away, the first 100 metres is this
Tin Man.
hobble.
Tin Man.
Yeah.
There's no Glinda in that. It's Tin Man. So when I say this, it's a bit like before I did the spine and I was like, I'll never do that. I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do it. So that means that I should do one, shouldn't I? And you're all nodding your head where but I would find one that like people, you know, were like, it's really hard course, so nobody goes beyond 24 hours. Is that cheating? Is that bad? Anyway, enough of our chat. You guys have come here to listen to Andy. Here, we can say it's an exclusive. So here is our chat with Andy Imms, all about Hellfire events, Vigo Backyard Ultra.
Hello.
Hi, Andy. How you doing?
Hi, Andy.
Yeah, good. How you guys doing? You all right?
Yeah, well, thanks.
Yes,
very well.
Good.
Oh, Andy, you've got a strong beard. You put me...
Yeah. Ultra runner's beard, isn't it?
I feel really inferior now, my little kind of patchy...
Me too. The odd hair.
You must have a strong beard regime, Andy, for that look.
Yeah. Plenty of products. Yeah, staying on top of it. Yeah, I think it's very easy to let it get out of control. So to keep it manageable means, a bit of care in my morning regime.
I just do that all the time. And I've only got like about 5 millimeters.
Yeah, well, I'm doing it more just to keep my hairs kind of in line. So I just do, it's more of a kind of like tidy rather than anything.
This might be too much of an intimate question, considering we've only just met Andy, but do you sweat in your beard? Like, does it get sweaty like the hair on your head?
Not that I've ever known, but then I can't remember ever having like really sweaty cheeks alone or chin before I ever grew a beard. So I don't know. I think if I'm getting sweaty, my beard is the last of my worries, I think.
Okay, that's good to know. So when I do grow, that is good to know.
Yeah. Bear that in mind.
I will bear that in mind, that it doesn't take it. I can just plait it. And does it just run free with you as you're running? Does it get a little plait or just...
No, not yet. It's not long enough yet. Maybe one day. But yeah, it kind of parts to the side as I run. So it ends up with two spikes.
So good pace, tempo pace, effort pace, beard parting.
Yeah, lots of wind, and it's pretty much back up. Yeah.
Are you a vegan, Andy? I'm sure I've seen a picture of you with a vegan.
Yeah, I am. I am indeed.
Oh, I've got a question for you then. I've got 2 vegetarians in my house. Tips for Christmas dinner. What should I cook them?
Like the roast that we buy is like a no turkey roast that we get from Sainsbury's, and it's kind of got like fake bacon wrapped on it and it's stuffing inside. I normally make one of those. I'll get some vegan pigs in blankets. Then the rest of it's all veg and stuff. And yeah, it kind of feels just like a normal kind of Christmas dinner, really.
I haven't tried a vegan pigs in blanket yet. I saw them in Tesco's and I thought, I'm not sure.
They're all right. I mean, if you don't mind vegan sausages,
I love a vegan sausage.
Yeah,
I prefer a vegan sausage to a meat sausage. And the kids eat vegan. They're not like, they don't make good vegan sausages now. They're good.
They are. Yeah, they're pretty like for like now compared to when I first tried going vegan, kind of over 10 years ago. It was awful. It was like all tasted like card.
It's like the Linda McCartney stuff.
Yeah, a couple of the things are all right, but I think it's your Quorn and your Linda McCartney stuff is kind of left in the past, really, compared to a lot of the stuff you get now, like the Beyond Meat and Impossible Meat and stuff like that you can get.
Some of it, like, I'm like, I actually think this is meat. And some of the burgers, and I'm like, is this definitely my veggie one? Because it's juicy.
Yeah, it's crazy, really.
Quorn definitely need to up their game, I think, out of all of... Because they've been around for yonks, and I think... Their products are pretty, like you say, left in the past. Have you got the veggie nut roast ordering, Eddie?
I have. I have found, this is, okay, I've done something dirty here, guys, because I'm getting it from Waitrose.
Ooh.
I know. This is expensive and frivolous of me, but they do a vegan nut roast because I can't have wheat, Andy.
Okay.
And so lots of them have wheat in them, but this one doesn't. And
Okay,
so
nice. Enjoy.
I've never seen it before, but they obviously brought it out for Christmas. And so I've bought 4.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
You better like them. My goodness.
Yeah.
I will
Probably
like
then.
it. I'll have to. I bought 4 because when we have a roast, and we have a roast quite often as a family, I just have to have a burger or some sausages or something. Because who has time to make a nut roast in the week? So I thought, I'm going to be sneaky while you've got these in, and I'm going to buy them and hope that there's not a fellow veggie going hungry.
Yeah.
Going, there's none left.
Well, they should have got there quicker, shouldn't they?
Exactly. I fancy one of those, Eddie, for Lisa and Esme.
Yeah, I had to order it because we don't have a Waitrose near us either.
Yeah. My goodness,
And I
Google
never
that.
normally obviously go avocado because that is not something that if you've got a family of 5, you can afford to do on a weekly basis. I only did it. I'll start talking about running in a minute.
Sorry,
because
Andy.
I was late to book my Tesco slot, and there were none left, and there was only Ocado slots left. So that's the story, but it was meant to be because now I can have a nut roast on Christmas Day. Right, Andy, let's talk running.
Yeah, it's all good. I can talk running. I can talk vegan and vegetarian stuff. Happy to speak about either.
Who's the chef in your house, though, Andy? Who's going to cook Christmas dinner?
Me. Yeah. I am. I'm definitely the cook in the house, and my wife does the washing up. We have a nice agreement that we've had for the entirety of our relationship and marriage. She doesn't like cooking. I don't like washing up. We know our place.
Perfect.
Yeah. Together, it all works out.
I think that's a good marriage mantra is know your place.
Yeah.
Know where you fit in the team. Do your jobs. Then nobody gets angry. And if those are your jobs, just get them done whenever they get done.
Yeah, that's it. Makes it simple.
What's your day job then, Andy? IT, is it crunching code and stuff?
Well, no, not so much. I mean, there's a slight element of that, but I'm kind of a business applications consultant. So I kind of do kind of implementation of business application software. So like your finance and manufacturing and supply chain software that runs your business. Wow. I kind of do end-to-end stuff, putting that into businesses. So kind of project-based role. Enjoy my day-to-day job, which is, not always the case, I think.
That blew my mind because I don't understand a word you said. Just nod and go, that sounds like a proper job.
I sit at a computer, I talk to people. And
that's nice.
That's it.
So would you be at the other end of the telephone line when, I don't know, Oasis tickets go live and the dynamic pricing crashes the website?
Well, fortunately not. I think, I don't tend to do support. I tend to do all of the kind of deploying the software into a business. And then when they're live with the business, we hand it over to support. So I do the first bit when a company wants to bring in a piece of software into the company. I find out what they need, kind of configure it, deliver it, train them, help, and then hand it over to the support team, and then my job's done.
And are you good at tech stuff in your day-to-day life? Like if at home there's a tech problem, something's not linking or something.
I mean, I can troubleshoot okay. I mean, no way a kind of a techie when it comes to wires and all that sort of stuff. So I'd say to a limit, because work-wise, I tend to work with software. It's one of them kind of things. It's like I'm all right with what I know and what I've learned, but I'm not someone who can just pick up any piece of hardware and kind of get to the bottom of what's wrong with it, sort of thing.
And you don't have to mention the businesses themselves, but do you use in your daily life any of the software that you've designed?
So I work with a specific piece of software called Microsoft Dynamics. So it is a Microsoft product, although it's highly configurable and stuff like that. So, I mean, in terms of the software that I implement, I mean, apart from kind of doing it in my day-to-day work, it's not something you just kind of come across outside of work, sort of thing. But I'm very much kind of aware of its use because it's a business application platform. It's the kind of thing that just as a kind of day-to-day consumer of stuff, you wouldn't really encounter. It gets kind of implemented into businesses, and kind of outside of that, you don't tend to see it used. It's not really just a kind of individual user type platform.
It's fascinating.
I love building a pit, because you see people running at races and stuff, and sometimes when you're running with people, you can go like, "What's your job?" You know, you might make conversation, don't you? And then I always find it so interesting that we've never interviewed anybody that's had the same job as anybody else. Runners,
Yeah.
there's no well, that's the sort of job that you do if you're good at this sort of running.
There's lots of vets. There's lots of doctors and vets.
Yeah, there is lots of doctors and vets. Yes, okay, right. Gaslight me.
Sorry.
Different types of vets.
There has also been like so many different jobs that there's obviously the transferable skills are not like, you see that and they tend to be good at that. If you say, oh, yeah, that software engineer, he's really, they're all really good at running. It's just amazing. Love it. Anyway, let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to the show where endurance isn't just measured in miles, it's measured in grit, laughter, and the sheer will to keep going when the rest of the world has gone to bed. Today's guest shows that better than anyone. Andy Imms is a runner who thrives in the backyard ultra scene where the race doesn't end until you say it does. Hour after hour, loop after loop, Andy has proven that persistence beats pace and that the real finish line is found in resilience. He's here to share stories from the long nights, sunrises, and the mental battles that make backyard ultras the ultimate test of spirit. So lace up, settle in, and prepare to be inspired because Andy Imms is about to take us on a journey where the only limit is how many times you're willing to toe the line. That gave me goosebumps. The only limit is how many times you're willing to toe the line. That's like, Eddie, you said something the other day. It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. Well, first up, Andy, thanks for coming on the Tea and Trails podcast, fresh-ish from a victory at the Hellfire events, Vigo Backyard Ultra. Thanks for your time tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for inviting me onto the show. It's a pleasure. And thanks for that intro, albeit generated by AI. It's pretty cool. I like that. It's a nice introduction.
They are pretty good. I sent you a request to follow on Strava today, so I've done a little bit of stalking. You must have pulled up pretty good after the Vigo Backyard Ultra because I think you pretty much laced up your shoes just a couple of days afterwards. And it was a tough race. We questioned these stats, like over 12,000 feet.
We were questioning the stats. Before when we chatted to you, we were going, really? This is mega.
Over 12,000 feet of vert for like 118 miles. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it was a brutal course. So, I mean, in terms of the course itself, it was a day and a night loop, so 12 hours of each. And in terms of backyards, I know a number of backyards do that, and Big's backyard is famous for having a day and a night loop. I think that was the 10th one I've ever done, and that's the first I've ever done that's had a split, so a day loop and a night loop split. The night loop was 300 plus feet and the day loop was 500 plus feet.
Jeez.
So yeah, it all adds up. Add to that the fact that it had rained non-stop for the week leading up to it, so the ground was really slippy underfoot. I've done a lot further distances in backyards, but this was up there as probably one of, if not the toughest I've done based on the kind of the terrain, the elevation, temperature, all that sort of stuff. It was it was a challenging one.
So I know that the two different routes, but was it all trail or was one maybe leaning a bit more on tarmac?
It was all trail, really. I mean, because it's obviously just over 4 miles, I think at most on any of the loops, there may have been half a mile in total across the whole. And I mean, that's absolute maximum. So I'd say you're talking 90+% trail.
And when you say trail, you're being kind. Mud.
Yeah. That's it. Slop a lot of the time.
What was the difference in the night and to no firmer ground on the night loop? Why then change it?
So, we started with the night loop. So the race, which is quite unusual in terms of backyards that I've done, but the race actually started at 9 p.m. You started with the night loop, did 12 hours of the night loop, and then at 9 a.m., the day loop starts. So as we were getting towards the day loop starting, so about 7 a.m. or so, we had about 2 hours left of the night loop. We were really excited, thinking, I can't wait for this day loop, because there was elements of the night loop that we'd learned to hate over the course of the so many hours we'd been doing it. So when the day loop came, we were thinking, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to a change of course. Unbeknownst to us, it included all of the crap bits of the night loop, and then just a bit worse. So the day loop was kind of, there was nothing that we got away with from moving from the night loop to the day loop. We had all of the worst bits and then some more. What
was the thinking by starting it at 9 at night?
So I'm not too sure. So Ryan, who runs Hellfire, I know they're doing a series of kind of four different backyard ultras in Kent. So the Vigo one that we're talking about now, that was one of four, and there's three more that are going to follow in the early part of next year. And I know when Ryan was doing his pre-brief before the race started, he was saying that we've got four different backyards, kind of different terrains, different start times.
Yeah, I
so
like that.
I guess it's part of that in the series that's the night one. I'm guessing some might be afternoon, some might be morning, and so on. I haven't kind of seen that, but it gives runners a kind of a bit of a.
And I guess if you're
variety,
not, which lots of backyard ultra athletes aren't, there's lots of them are just looking at the experience, having a go.
Yeah.
But lots of people haven't run through the night. But what a great way, you don't need to run all day to then run through the night. But actually you can run through the night fresh-ish and experience it maybe with having, had a rest during the day, et cetera, because loads of people, that's a huge barrier of doing longer races is they don't want to train going through the night for obvious reasons, but then they're worried about their first experience of going through the night. But like by starting it at 9, you're sort of giving people
straight
that don't want to, straight in there. I love it.
Ryan also put on a 7-hour event for people as well. So they had the backyard, which is obviously last person standing, that goes on forever, but he also, as a little taster, did a kind of separate event for the first 7 hours, so people could just do a taster. So started at 9 and then finished, it would have been 4 a.m. So that allows people to trial the night running element of it and not have to commit to the whole thing as well. So it was a good thing, I think, starting it at that time. I did notice the numbers dwindle a lot quicker. Now, whether that's down to it being a night start, the terrain, the weather, combination of all of them. But it went from kind of, I don't know, we had maybe about 70 or 80 on the start line for the first
3-4 hours. Everyone loves it.
Yeah, the numbers plummeted quite quickly, we noticed.
We've never done a backyard ultra. As far as this course is concerned, how does it stack up against other ones that you've done?
I would say it's up there in terms of the toughest. It's not the highest in terms of elevation that I've done in a backyard. I did.
Lord above, what is the highest?
So I did Pig on the Hill Backyard Ultra last year. Yeah. So
is there a pig on the hill?
There is actually a pig on the hill. Well, there was for the duration of the race. Anyway, not an actual pig, a stone pig, pig that was placed on top of this hill. So
Christmas blankets.
No. So that one I did last August. So. It was August, so it was dry. But this one was higher. So this one was 600 plus feet of elevation, and it was just a one loop, no day loop, no night loop. So that's the toughest. But I see this one as being tougher because of the slippiness underfoot. If you had both of those courses on the same weather, I would say Pig on the Hill is tougher, but this was tougher, even though not as high, just because of how slippy it was.
So how much elevation total did you get for Pig on the Hill?
So I'm not sure, because I did 20 loops on that one.
Okay, so it's 20 times 6.
Yeah. So you're talking similar, I'd imagine.
Okay.
I'd need to check Strava, but it wouldn't be far off, even though I did fewer loops.
How do you handle the hills then? Are you power walking up anything that's uphill and then gaining the speed back with the downhill?
Yeah, so typically my approach would be to power walk any kind of inclines in most backyards, because most backyards you might have a couple of inclines and stuff like that. You've got the inclines as your place where you would walk, because you don't want to go flat out, or most people don't want to go flat out in a backyard and do a 35-mile loop and then be sitting around for 25 minutes. You want to time it so you've got your sweet spot in terms of time to get ready. But with this one, because it was all centered around one big hill, really. So the night loop was flat for probably 2.5 miles. Then you had a really long downhill to go really long uphill again. So it's all in the one slope. Then when it went to the day loop, you just started going downhill earlier and you went further downhill just to come uphill and then go up the slope from the night loop. So it's one big hill, really. Yeah, with that, I think it's just a case of run when you can, walk when you can. But typically hike the uphills, run the downhills, and it really varies course by course.
And you're really experienced. So when people go off and you see them like running up the hills and whatever, do you give them a little twitch of your beard and give them a bit of advice? Or are you like, you're an idiot?
I think the thing is, because because there's no right way of doing it. And even,
you're such a nicer person than me.
but I mean, if you look at the elite backyarders, if you look at runners like Phil Gore, who's the world record holder, and you got Łukasz Robel, who was the world record holder. Each of them have done 116 plus hours. So you're talking, do you know what I mean, kind of close on 500 miles. They do their like night loops quite quick, like sub 40. And even Lukash will do his day loops in sub 40, and he'll come back and he'll get asleep. Do you know what I mean? And that works for him. Because like, what might work for one person doing a 52-minute loop might not for another person. And it might be that a 40-minute loop suits them better and having more time. But I guess you really got to find from experience what works for you. Like, do you need extra time? If so, have you got stuff to do? Or if you don't need that extra time, how can you kind of time it so you're not sitting around any longer than you have to and seizing up and then making yourself more kind of injury prone when you start the next loop?
That's my biggest fear, Andy, is the stopping in between and getting cold and stiff and then having to get moving again. I guess that's probably one of the hardest parts, isn't it?
Yeah, and with time, I mean, with me, when I first started doing backyards, I was trying to do my loops in about 48 minutes. But over time, in the last kind of year or so, that has kind of dropped down to kind of 52, 53, because I just didn't need that extra time. I was finding I had enough time to kind of top up my drink and grab some food. And if I do need a quicker loop, like to change my socks or shoes or something, I will make sure I'll finish it a couple of minutes earlier. But then other than that, kind of once you've eaten something, you don't really need rest. You just need kind of top up stuff and kind of do your race admin sort of stuff and then get going again. In the kind of first day or two anyway, I think if ever I get to the point where I'm doing 3, 4, 5 days, which is the intention, then obviously getting sleep is a factor that I'll need to do. Yeah. Whereas in the distances I've done, I've not yet had to sleep. So I've only had, 42 hours. So 41 hours is my personal best, so 170-ish miles. So I've not gone past the 48 hours, 200 miles yet, and then I think that's when you really need to factor in
did you sleep in that 41 hours?
So I tried a couple of times for like a couple of minutes here and there, but the one time I think I did doze off-ish for like about a minute, but then felt really sick when I woke up and was on the start line, and I thought, well, yeah, maybe I won't do that next time. I'll just kind of, I'll just take caffeine and keep going.
This is the fascinating thing, though, because if you want to go long and be kind of bothering the world record, then do you just sleep when you need to sleep, or do you start sleeping early? But then, because the nature of this race, it could be over in a day. It's a fascinating.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people who are at that kind of pushing the 100 hours plus mark, who are definitely going to be doing 4 days, they will factor in sleep early on. They'll know from night one, start getting some sleep straight away, and you're banking it then for kind of further in. Not gone that far yet to need to, but I think it's definitely something I need to be mindful of, because I do intend to increase my distance considerably over the next year or two.
So why the backyard ultras? I've looked on UTMB index page, and there's lots of trail races there, and then in kind of 2024-ish, the scent goes dry, but I suppose the backyard ultras wouldn't end up on the UTMB index and page. I'm just curious in your kind of running journey and your timeline, when backyard ultras kind of become a feature.
My first backyard was in 2022. This is my 4th year of running backyards. So I started doing ultras in 2017, 5 years between doing an ultra and a backyard. Yeah, my first ultra in 2017, which was a 70k race. So before that, I'd only ever done up to like 30 miles in training a few times. And I'd done a few obstacle races going up to like distances of 20 miles, and I'd done up to like 30 miles in training, but I'd never done an ultra as such until 2017. So I signed up in February 2017 to do the Brecon to Cardiff Ultra, which is a 70k. Yeah. So did that. Didn't know what my body would be like over 30 miles. So signed up for that, did that race, finished. It ended up being about 45, 46 miles in the end, and had more in the tank. So I signed up for a 110k race in that July. And on the same day, I signed myself up for a 100 miler in the September. So I knew I was going to go from non-ultra to 100 miler like in 1 year. So in the September I did the Robin Hood 100 in Sherwood Forest, which is quite a flat 100 miler. They marketed it as a beginner's 100 miler, which is a bit of an oxymoron to a lot of people, but it is quite flat, so I do get why they would say that. So from that I did the 100 miles. Again, I finished it and there was more in the tank, so I kind of went from that to do a hilly 100 miler, which killed me. The Jurassic Coast I did in 2018.
Oh, yeah.
That was tough.
Oh, that's hard, yeah.
So I finished, but I think I was either the last or last but one to make it in before the cutoff. At that time, it was just kind of exploring my capabilities, really. So I didn't know whether I could firstly do the 100 miler, tick that off. Didn't know if I could do a hilly one, tick that off. And then for the next couple of years, I'd signed up for a couple of hilly 100 milers here and there, had a couple of DNFs. Then in 2020, I did the North Coast 110, so a 110-mile race across the north coast of Devon. So it's a race that Climb Southwest events put on.
Yeah.
And this one basically starts on the Devon-Cornwall border. So it's Heartland Key, which is Devon, but you pretty much Cornwall if you go any further west. And then it runs the entire southwest coast path to Minehead, to where it starts. So it's basically the 110 miles on the north side end of the southwest coast path. So I did that. I didn't find out until after, but it was the wettest day since records began, and I ended up having to I found out a year afterwards when I was looking it up. But yeah, there was a storm, and because it's over, you're running through like Exmoor and stuff like that, and they said in the Exmoor area it was the wettest day on record. And I ended up having to DNF after 102 miles of the 110 with trench foot. I had trench foot and I couldn't put like pressure on my feet. And it was an actual DNF, not a I can't be arsed anymore sort of DNF. It was I can't actually go anymore. So past the 100-mile mark and then had to drop out 8 miles away from the finish.
I've got some deets. The national record, it was noted as the wettest day on record for Exmoor because there was gale for, it was just triggered by Storm Alex.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Creating severe conditions for events. No, this is good because when I look on my weather app, my iPhone one, other apps are available for weather. When it says like 5 millimeters, I go, oh, not running in that. It was recorded as the wettest day since 1891 with 31.7 millimeters of rain falling. So that's like that much. You must have been like...
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But yeah, I mean, DNF in that one, so close to the end. It was a bit of a wake-up call, really, for me, because before that, I'd kind of just been exploring kind of, I'll go and sign up for this event. I'm not going to invest in like good kit. I'll just go with what I've got and, do you know what I mean, turn up and see how it goes. Yeah, so with that one, I had kind of unfinished business, really, because I didn't finish that course. So I was like, next time I was like, well, what can I do? I'll invest in good quality kit. That's everything from what I wear, but my nutrition as well. And I'll take it a bit more seriously. So I kind of went back the following year, did that race and finished third that year. That was a bit of a kind of wake up call to me that was like, oh, I could be okay at this. So yeah, after that, I kind of went into more races with the mentality of I'm going to try and compete in this rather than I'm here to make up the numbers and just see if I can get over the finish line.
What was the weather like? You'd bought all that great kit. What was the actual weather like though, on the day?
Lovely. Yeah. It was beautiful. Yeah, I didn't need all my wet gear anyway.
Oh, that's always the case. What do you think was down to like that sort of improvement in you coming from like, you know, as you said, like sort of like making the cutoffs back of the pack to like, was it just like progression as the years have gone by?
I think confidence is probably one of the main factors, purely because when you don't know if you can achieve the distance, like it's quite humbling, really. You kind of, you know what I mean? I will respect the distance rather than, because I didn't want to be so naive and think, well, I'll go flat out and see what happens. So it's kind of, but once I'd done the distance a couple of times and I'd done it and known that I hadn't broke myself doing it, I knew that I could go harder in different periods. And yeah, I learned more about how I could manage my nutrition strategy and things like that. And historically, where I would feel a bit tired in a race, when I was quite a novice to it, I'd just stop and walk a little bit and things like that. And I might even walk for 20 minutes. Whereas now, if I feel like the need to walk, I might think, all right, well, I'll walk, but I'll count down from 10 and then I'll carry on running. So little things that I picked up and like little methods that I'd learned just made it kind of, made me get progressively better
I think the
over time.
fueling is a big thing as well, isn't it? That it's really hard to practice race fueling in training and recognize those, like when you need to fuel, like in a race, when, like you said, you're like walking and you might think when you don't experience it, I'm just walking now. And then when you've done it, then you're like, actually, no, I need to eat because this is actually, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And if I eat, I'll get back running again.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, getting used to running and eating, I think, is quite tough if you're not used to it. I think when I do long runs now, I'll try and just kind of eat constantly. And when I first started doing ultras as well, I didn't drink anything with calories in, whereas I drink Tailwind now always. So you're constantly getting your calories in through that and then eating on top. And that's kind of a calorie intake that you don't have to think about really as well. Whereas when I was first starting, I was just drinking water. Do you know what I mean? Even though you obviously do need water to hydrate, there's a big gap really that you're missing in terms of the calories you could be consuming by having something with carbs and stuff in it.
I love it. Just over the years, you pick up these little bricks and they just kind of go on your wall just to...
Or you listen to the Tea Trails podcast and you get them every day, twice a week in your ears, these little tips. So, Andy, what does training look like for you now on a sort of average week? I always love it when people share their training on the podcast because everybody's different and... It gives a real insight into like just your normal training. Then I might ask some backyard ultra specifics that you do as well.
There's no average week really, I guess. But my average week while I'm kind of training for a backyard can be anything from 40 to 100 miles, which is obviously a broad range. But typically my day-to-day running will involve a kind of 10-mile run in the morning, either alone or with my dog. And then I might kind of get out and do an afternoon run and then, 20 to 30 miles on a Saturday and Sunday, one of them
I thought you were going to say,
hills.
and then in the evening I do 10 to 30, and I was going to go, oh no, not another one.
No. Yeah, so weekend I'll do 40 to 60 miles made up of two runs generally.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
And then, so typically, anything.
So you're quite high mileage on a big mileage week.
Yeah, I like to be doing 60, 70 plus on a decent mileage week, up to 100-ish, but then I don't do too many weeks in a row of 100. I'll probably do 2 or maybe max 3 before kind of dropping it down.
Any sessions in there, or is it all easy volume?
Mainly easy volume, 90% easy volume, although I have recently started trying to do a few more miles at a higher tempo. So whether that's just like the last miles on a run, I'm feeling good, I'll try and kind of up it and do a few at kind of sub 7:30 pace miles. So, but yeah, typically it's just time on feet I aim for. I will get down the gym occasionally and do bits of other stuff here and there. I'm aiming to be better at that, like more on strength training and deadlifts and stuff. That's not something I've historically done, but something I'm looking to implement at least weekly.
Exciting.
Going forward.
I suppose you don't need to chase elevation. We talk about elevation every week on the podcast, but with the backyard ultra format, that isn't. So then your miles are faster. Then I suppose you could do greater volume. I found definitely when I went to the trails, the time on feet was the same, but the miles probably dropped by a good kind of 10, 15 miles a week.
Yeah, and I think because most of the races I'm doing aren't too hilly, I don't have to train for it. Although I do love getting out in the hills. So I will make sure I try and at least once every month or two get over the near hills by me, which are the Purbeck Hills out on the southwest coast path, because I'm down in Bournemouth.
Nice.
So I'll get over there at least every month or two. I've not been shot yet.
That's okay. It'd be remiss of me not to ask you, as we not only love tea on this podcast, our second love in life is our dogs. Well, maybe dogs and tea. Don't think we could rank them. What sort of dog do you have? And it must be one of the fittest dogs.
I have a Cocker Spaniel, and she's actually laid by my feet right now. But I'm not.
That's why it's a 10-mile run. You got to tire it out.
Yeah, she's full of energy. I've not tired her out yet. She's a good running partner. And because where I live, there's some nice little routes that we can go kind of round by the sea and a nice little headland with a hill that I can go over. So I can kind of run for about a mile with a clip to me, then unclip her and do a good 6 or 7 miles without her anywhere near. And she can run in and out of the sea. And so it's not a bad place for dog running around
She
here.
probably does 15 miles to your 10 miles with all the zoomies.
I've thought that before. It'd be good to actually stick a proper GPS on her. When I do 10, she must do double that, really, because the circles she's running and things like that. It'd be quite fascinating to know how much for every mile I do, she's doing on average.
I feel quite naked when I go out running without my dogs, and I almost apologise to them and you don't need to be always with me when I'm running. And they're like, Mom, I'm like, and then when I do, I'm like, it's almost a bit of a run off because you don't need to. You can relax.
Yeah, so me and my wife take it in turns. So we have had our days. So on the days where it's my turn to walk her, I'll go out and I'll take her out for a run. And on the days where it's not my turn, I'll go out and I'll run a less dog friendly route,
slightly
roads, and where I
yeah.
don't have to care too much. Yeah.
If we could move on to the Vigo Backyard Ultra, I had some intel from Ryan at Hellfire Events. You had
secret
a
emails
race.
Were discussed about you.
You had a race on your hands with a young lad called Josh Woods. Yeah, I'd love you to share some more information about how that went.
It was Josh and I who were the final two. So in backyards, for those who are not too familiar, everyone who basically isn't the winner is a DNF. So if you don't win the race, you don't finish. You're a DNF regardless of your distance. So when we got down to the final, three. And then there was a guy, Mike, Canadian guy, who I was out on a course with, and he said that his quad had just gone and he was starting to walk. And I was, this was on the 26th loop. So this was about a mile or so in. So I asked how he was doing, and he said his quads were hurting. And I was quite slow. I was behind my lap pace for where I should be by then, and I kind of left him and I started jogging to kind of complete the loop, and I finished the loop in about 55, which was a slow one for me, and he was nowhere to be seen. So I said, when I got there, I was like, I think it's down to the final two. Yeah, when the whistle went, Mike was nowhere to be seen, so it was just the two of us who went out. But Josh had told me then, going into that loop, that he'd had some chafing issues for a few hours, and he didn't know how much longer he would be going. So he'd basically said to me, as we'd started that 27th loop, I'll do this loop with you. We'll kind of do this together, and then I'll drop out. So I kind of knew starting that one that providing I completed that and the next one, that I would have the victory. But Josh was an animal. Like, he's a fast runner.
Did you know who he was? When you saw him on the start line?
No. I spoke to him a couple of times through the race, just kind of small talk sort of thing. But I didn't really have a decent conversation with him until that 27th loop. Kind of once we got down to about the final maybe 8 of us. When every loop started, Josh was firing off, and he was like really quick. And I wouldn't really see him. You'd see him go flying off, and then I wouldn't see him again until the start line. And I was kind of surprised how fast he was going off. But then, when I had a conversation with him in the 27th loop, and he was telling me about kind of some races he does, he's like a kind of 16, 17 hour 100 miler. Runner.
Oh, wow.
So he is a phenomenal ultra runner.
So when he told you about the chafing, did you think, whatever, this is just mind games, or did you take him for his word?
Well, he'd said, I'll just do this loop with you if you don't mind, and then I'll call it a day. And so he ran that one with me. So that would have been his slowest loop probably, but gave us a chance to catch up and kind of have a conversation and stuff.
It must have been really bad chafing if he's like, I'm not even gonna.
For a few hours, he said he'd been experiencing it.
Intimate chafing that you can't hide from.
I've got a quote from Ryan. Josh had to pull out due to chafing in the unthinkable areas.
The areas that you don't really want to talk to people about on a day-to-day basis. But he'd had about 6 hours, he said, and it wasn't good, but it never seemed to stop him flying off at the start of every hour. So he could have run more if he'd have wanted to, probably. But this was his first backyard as well. So I expect bigger things from Josh if he does another backyard. I mean, it was the longest he'd ever ran in terms of distance and time on feet. So for such a speedy 100-mile runner, it's a different type of race. But no doubt if he'd have wanted to stay for longer, he had it in him. And
how's your crew? I know we spoke to Sarah Perry a few weeks ago, and it was her and Luke, and oh my goodness me, poor Luke, he had a shift. How many people in your tent?
Big shift, lads.
Yes,
big shift.
So I was self-crewed for the Vigo race. Most of the races I've done without a crew. Now, I have had my wife come and help me a race last year, and she's going to come and help crew for me for a couple of races next year as well. I've basically just crewed myself for the majority of the races I've done, and I kind of know now know what I need anyway, so I don't actually feel too bad. I feel like where I would need a crew and where I've kind of tapped into people offering help before is once you get into the second night. But for that first 24 plus hours, I know where my stuff is. I know what I need. I kind of feel guilty asking for a crew member to be there when I can do stuff anyway. But once you're going through that second night and then beyond, I think that's when a crew would be vital. And that's when I'm going to kind of need it more, I think, in future races. For what I've done so far, I've been okay on my own generally.
So you're very organised? You like quite military precision? This is it. Presumably you can't have a cup of tea because you don't have time to boil it. That would be, that triggers me slightly.
Yeah, so kind of a few months ago, I had quite a big tent that I used to take to races and I'd set up, and it's a 4-person tent, but with kind of a long marquee-ish bit in it as well. And I'd take that just for myself. So I'd have my kind of living area and I'd have it all kind of really well organised. And then I'd have my sleeping area that wouldn't get touched. And I'd know when I'd come in kind of, if I sat down on my deck chair, my tailwind's there, my flasks are there, this food's there, and everything would be within reach. But for this race, I bought a camper van a couple of months before. So I had a camper van and I had everything kind of organised, but it wasn't as well spread out. So it was a bit more kind of, I couldn't be very military about it. It's more of a case of dump stuff in an area and roughly know where everything is.
So what kind of things are you eating? I'm thinking it's all speed. So yeah, I visualize if I had crew, I would maybe tip them off. I want a pot noodle, whatever, the next lap. You just got to do it all yourself. What kind of, what's fueling your runs?
Yeah, so one of the key things I've adapted over my time is making sure I've got enough variety of all different food types, so sweet, savory, soft, hard, etc. So things like pot noodles are great, and I think I did find time to eat a pot noodle because someone made it ready for me. So someone did actually help me out on this race to get me a pot noodle prepared. But I also bought things like, the packet rice that you stick in the microwave for for a minute or whatever. Yeah. And I was eating that cold and stuff like that. So I'd done, so I think it's one of them really that kind of, I was just having to wolf it down, mash it around my mouth a little bit and then wash it down sort of thing. But just to know I was getting in real food. So I was doing that kind of my aim is every 4 to 6 hours, eat some proper food. And then the rest of the time, it's a case of constantly drinking my tailwind. Then I had a load of gels there. I had loads of sweets. I had loads of crisps. I had loads of different types of bars and stuff, a variety of different stuff. And then I also made up some things that I'd seen in one of Ross Edgley's books, these energy balls that you basically blend up some dates and you mix it with like walnuts and hazelnuts, and then you roll it in stuff like chia seeds and stuff. And you blend it with cacao powder as well. And I kind of mixed these up and I was eating those and they were like really soft and easy to eat, but kind of full of energy and sugars and obviously 100% whole food. So yeah, that and loads of other stuff. I buy loads of other kind of sweets and stuff, pastels and things that I can just grab, but just so I know kind of depending on how I feel, is there something savory or sweet or whatever within arm's reach? And then that way there's always something that will satisfy my craving.
Do you have a bit of a mental checklist? Do you have a sort of strategy if you're sitting in your van or your tent and go, I don't want to go out? Have you got a bit of a mantra going on or a...
Not really. I think where I have DNF'd from backyards before, it has been my head that has done it rather than actual proper injury that stopped me. I mean, before this race, I did spend a lot of time reading around kind of mindset and stuff. So I read through about 4 different books focused around like sports psychology and mindset and stuff like that. I was listening to a lot of the kind of motivational speaker podcast type things, the ones where someone's shouting at you kind of thing that most people don't generally like. But in that head, it's just trying to kind of almost put a screensaver in my head of all this sort of stuff just to kind of keep me motivated. So I don't have a mantra as such other than just keep moving forward. And that is just those 4 words I do keep in my head at all times, just keep moving forward, because that's the key thing. I mean, it don't really matter about speed, just keep going. One more loop, that sort of thing.
Stay in the game.
Yeah.
Stay in the game.
Live in the now. Don't pay attention to all of the other noise. And that noise could be internally generated as well. But yeah, keep eating, keep moving. I guess is key.
That must be the hardest thing of these backyard ultras is that external, well, the internal, but it's external to you, the noise of when you're tired and you've done 10 loops and you're like, because when you're running 100-miler, you continually moving. And so it sort of dampens that voice a little bit, doesn't it? Because while you're in the game, your brain wants you to keep you alive, doesn't it? And you're like, well, I'm moving. Well, I can't stop out here. I'm on the North Coast path. If I stop here, nobody's helping me. Whereas when you get back to your tent every time, you have to repeat that discussion of like, gee yourself up to go, we're going out again.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the fun, I think, is the mental strategy as well as the physical thing. Because I mean, it's an endurance running event, but I think most of the work is up there, really. I think it's the mental side of things that you really need to nail, because I think if you can get yourself around 100 miles at a relatively slow pace, then you can keep going, really, because the pace that you need to do a lap in, I mean, ultimately you can finish the loop averaging 14-minute miles and still be on the start line of the next loop, providing you've got someone to hand you like stuff at the end. So it's easy enough to do the loop, providing no injury or anything.
Did you have any particular low moments during the race?
This one, not really. I mean, because it finished so early compared to a lot of backyards, it didn't get to the point where I would normally start experiencing that. So normally it would be in the second night. Now, this obviously started at night time, so did go into the second night. But normally my lowish moments would come about 4 or 5 a.m. when my brain is saying you should be asleep, sort of thing. And I think that's the same for a lot of people. Yeah, and other than just kind of the general achiness from the elevation and stuff, I didn't have any kind of really low moments or any moments where I kind of was considering quitting.
Then what about that last loop, though? Knowing that you were the last person standing, that must have been awesome.
Yeah, it was good. So it was it was the second backyard that I'd won. But with this race, because since I've been doing backyards in 2022, every year I've either had a win or an assist. So assist being second place in that year, up until this year, prior to this race. So I'd had a few injuries at the start of the year, and it meant that kind of my races where I could have gone further weren't as successful as I'd have hoped. So I'd had quite a disappointing year in my head because, I hadn't got any wins or assists. So I went into this race with just one aim and one aim only, and that was win the race. And I just don't quit. So I knew, I mean, you never know what the variables are going to be, but I knew in my head I wasn't going to quit that race. So unless I'd have been timed out or something else, my kind of mind was made up, and I was very kind of headstrong when I went into it that I believed that I would. You will have those doubts as you see in the caliber of the other runners you're up against, and you're starting to feel a bit knackered in between loops. But I thought if I can just keep myself going, eventually there'll be no one else left to keep dropping out.
I thought it was amazing resilience. I looked through your Strava of the year, and yes, I did see that some of the races you weren't happy with the outcome, and then just to keep kind of putting yourself on the start line. Yeah, I thought it was amazing resilience. I'm super pleased it paid off.
Yeah, thank you. That's it. It was just about getting the win, really, for me, so I could finish the year on a so I could end 2025 feeling like it's been a positive year, whereas I would have felt like it was a disappointing year if I didn't get the win or the assist in that race. So it's good to kind of get to the end of 2025 and have an achievement that I can feel proud of for the year.
Yeah. And what about 2026, dare we ask?
My plan for 2026, my key ambition is to get back into the 15-person UK team for the World Team Championships.
Cool. Love it.
So I was in that team in 2024. So I was in that 15-person race that Sarah won, obviously, to get a ticket into Bigs. I'm kind of outside of the positions at the moment. So I managed to get into that top 15 for 2024 based on doing 39 yards, so 39 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas to be in the 15, even at the bottom of that 15 at the moment, I think you need at least 43.
Yeah.
And that qualifying period goes until August. So I think you need at least 50 to be safe.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So my aim is to go to Rasselbach Backyard Ultra, which is in like Mansfield in March.
That name keeps coming up. Is that probably the most competitive one you would say in this country?
It's one of two. So I'd say Suffolk and Rasselbach are probably the two biggest in terms of numbers and stuff. And they're the ones that are probably most likely to go far. So I'm aiming to go to Rasselbach. My aim, obviously, when I start in any backyard is to win the race, but ultimately get over 50. So I want to ideally go to Rasselbach, get in the 50s to get myself cemented in that top 15 place. And then I'm doing the Portland Pig Backyard Ultra in early May, which is a silver ticket event. So the winner gets guaranteed entry into the team. So my aim is to kind of get into the positions at Rasselbach and then try and win that silver ticket anyway and get guaranteed entry. So that is my aim. So yeah, watch this space.
Can you check that? Because with SI entries, I'm not too sure what the entry system is, but with SI entries, I'll log on and I'll see who's in the race if I'm being super competitive. Are you doing the same kind of thing with these races? Do you know who's going to be on the start line?
Yeah, so typically, well, it depends which kind of timing company they're using. So some of them you can actually see who's entered beforehand, some of them you can't. But yeah, if I do get the ability to kind of look at the start list before, I'll go through and check kind of all of the names. But I am kind of familiar with a lot of the names anyway. So a lot of the times, if there's good people running, I'll have an idea because I might have spoke to them about it anyway. So, but yeah, it's always a case of seeing, well, yeah, who's going to come between me and the victory in this one. So it's always good knowing, but you never know what's going to happen in these races. And just because someone's been good once, all it takes is rolling the ankle after 30 hours of running and the race is over. And yeah.
Stay in the game. Stay in the game.
That's it, yeah.
Andy, we ask our guests every week for a workout that maybe might inspire people if they're not feeling, especially this festive period, lacing up the trainers. We were going to ask you this, and we haven't got around to asking it, but we could sort of incorporate this into it. Do you do a sort of backyard simulation in your training? Do you recommend people do that before they do a backyard?
I don't do that, but I would definitely recommend it for people who are considering doing a backyard, especially people that don't have any experience in ultras or people who have only done, I say only, but distances up to kind of like a half marathon, which I hear sometimes people they'll say, oh, the longest I've ever done is a half marathon and I'm signed up for this backyard. What tips would you have? I would say to them to do kind of a backyard simulation to just get an idea of how you're going to manage your food strategy, how you feel maybe going at a pace that's considerably slower than what you might be comfortable with. Also factoring in things like the walk breaks and stuff as well. I mean, if you can find a backyard similar in elevation profile to a race that you signed up for, if you can factor that in as well, I think that helps. So for people without the ultra background and people looking to increase the distance that they know they're capable of, I think there's a lot of value in doing that.
Would you say how many hours people would do that for? Like, do you think to
depends
really
on
test
your
it?
aims, really? I'd say, yeah, depends what you're aiming for. If you want to kind of push up to the 24 hours, 100 miles.
Would you say 10 hours would be a good sort of...
Yeah, 10, 12 hours, I think.
Yeah.
And it would be good to factor in the night running elements into part of that. I mean, just going and doing 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. it isn't going to really test those really challenging moments through the night. So if you're not used to night running, definitely make sure that of those 10, 12 hours, some of it is either in the darkness or in the real darkness hours of kind of between 2 and 5 when no one's out. Do you know what I mean? It's pitch black everywhere. You're hearing owls in the background that are making you look twice and kind of making you panic a little bit. Yeah, I do. But yeah, it's something you need to definitely prepare for because it's definitely scary, especially if people have a bit of a fear of darkness, which is a natural fear, but kind of get used to being out there and feeling comfortable being on your own when it's pitch black.
What was it like on the course? I know obviously towards the end when there's only a few people left, but was it quite a nice vibe through the night, or were you found yourself on your own quite a lot?
Yeah, so because it started at night, at the first kind of so many loops were all darkness loops with lots of people around. So it was a good chance to speak to a few people, get to know a few people I hadn't met. 'Cause I'd only met probably one of the runners, Rob Mallet, before the actual race had started in person. So it was good kind of having a bit of a chat with some people. And then obviously as the loops go on, you'll have people you're more familiar with. Once it got into the darkness the second time round, I think we were down to probably only between 5 and 10 people. So it's kind of a limited number then. And then you got the same sort of people you might see in the same times and catch up with. But Yeah, but it was a good vibe. It was good. Good people there. And the marshals they had at the event were really, really nice, really friendly as well. So, yeah, got to give a shout out to all of the people that helped out on that event because they made it
Always.
fun.
Yeah.
They had a smile on their face. They were out on the course and stuff, which it does add some value when you're struggling a little bit. Just someone smiling, saying, well done. It's a
the power of a
surprise
smile.
how much that can actually boost your energy levels and how you feel.
Gary does that to me all the time. Just podcasting. He's like, you're doing great, Eddie. You're doing great.
Good
Keep
job.
it up. Good job.
Yeah, I saw the social medias. It looked great. It really did look like a great event. We've got some quick questions before we let you go, though,
Yeah, of
Andy.
course.
Okay, you're on the start line of a backyard ultra. You can only have one snack and one drink to fuel and hydrate you. Over and over and over again. What's it going to be?
So for drink, I would say Tailwind. I do rely
You've
on
mentioned that a
Tailwind.
few times.
I always drink. Since I started drinking Tailwind in my races, my performances went up. So I swear by it. Whether that's just a coincidence that it happened at the same time,
Carbs, not a coincidence.
But
no.
yeah, so that ticks the electrolytes box and the calories box. So I would say that I wouldn't like to just pick one piece of food that I would want over and over again. In a backyard, I think you need variety. So it's not really, it doesn't answer your question, but I think if I did have one thing that I ate hour after hour, I don't think I'd be lasting many hours.
I'd just go all in. I'd go roll the dice with full fat Coca-Cola and just pies, anything with pastry.
Yeah, just pies. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, if you had to design your own backyard ultra course, what would it look like?
That is a good one. I think where I live now, I think there's a course that would be really good. Because I think that it's nice to have variety. So I'd want a course that has a variety of terrains. So a little bit of tarmac, but then also some trail. But within that, a bit of grass, bit of mud, maybe a bit of sand.
Oh, no, not sand.
No, I'm not coming to your backyard.
I'm not talking about doing miles of it, but just kind of a bit of a mix.
Okay,
So
all right.
so varied terrains. I'd say probably in total, I'd say about 2 to 250 max 100 feet elevation. Because too flat is a bit of a struggle as well.
Yeah,
so you need
yeah.
the inclines to almost tell you when to walk to break up like that
yeah.
loop. Yeah, and somewhere near the sea. So so with a view of the sea. About 200 feet of elevation, bit of a mix. The Portland Pig Backyard Ultra, which is my local one here, and it is my favourite, that has kind of a bit of a mix, and it has about 200 feet of elevation, and you can see the sea. So that's quite up there as close to what I would design myself.
Sounds good to me. Oh, okay, right. Backyard Ultra crew. Who would you prefer to have in your corner, David Goggins or Ross Edgley?
Ross Edgley, I would say. Ross Edgley as well, I think, because David Goggins would be good crew, but I think he'd be a bit too hard line.
I think he'd go out running. And you'd be like, you'd go back and you'd be like, where were you?
Where's he gone?
Doggo?
Yeah,
and he'd be
that's
like, gone for 8 hours, sort yourself out, you weak, pathetic
Son of a bitch.
That's it. Whereas I think Ross Edgley he'll apply science to any of his tips, which I think is valued. So
you'd like that, yeah. He'd be like, here we go.
Yeah, a bit of scientific underpinning rather than just like in your face screaming at you.
Oh, what's on your Christmas list?
I have asked my wife to get me a new yoga mat. Yeah,
Big spender.
Yeah. So I've got a nice new kind of psychedelic pattern yoga mat because I like all trippy psychedelic sort of stuff. So that's my list for me, really. But yeah. Be good to get a new pair of trainers, but
I was going to say
that's
maybe
my gift for me, really.
Slip in a little. Oh, you could slip in, new pair of trainers, a couple of pairs of running socks.
Yeah.
What shoes were your shoes of choice in at Vigo?
So I always, I say always, 90% of the time I wear Saucony. So Saucony is my go-to brand for road. And I've got some road shoes, I've got some hybrids, I've got some trails. But I did actually, at that race where I've got some Salomon Speed Cross, which were really valuable for the slippiness at night. So I had those on. Yeah, I had those on for the night loops. Geez. And they're not really very comfortable. I don't like wearing them, but they were great for the grip. So while I would normally be Saucony all the way, I needed that just to stay upright, just for the Yeah, the slipperiness of it.
Do you think there's a trail runner out there who hasn't owned a pair of Speedcross?
Are they not everybody's? Well, back we're talking like
everyone's owned one. And
12 years ago. If you ran 12 years ago, you were on a start line in Speedcross because there was no other. And every time you ran, you thought, there's got to be more to life than this. There's no cushion. Why? And you'd hate your feet. They'd be
I'd
so
crush
sore,
my feet. I'd squeeze my feet into them.
Crush your feet. But you see everyone running in them, sensational runners, and you think, well, I must be able to wear them. And every time they didn't work out.
They're not comfy. I do wear an insole with them as well, so I've got a bit of sponginess in there, but they were definitely valued to keeping me upright. I didn't fall over once on that backyard as well, and I nearly always fall over once, regardless of rain or shine. I'll always trip over once, but despite how slippery it was, I actually stayed upright for the entire race, which is a rarity.
So we should maybe not slag off Salomon.
Yeah.
Oh, this chat's gone so well so far, Andy, but this question could turn it all.
I can't believe you'd say no to this. Can you?
Is your dog allowed on the furniture? Upstairs furniture and downstairs furniture?
Yeah, well, we live in a flat which is upstairs anyway, so all of our furniture is upstairs. Yeah, the dog is allowed on the furniture. We don't allow her in the bedroom. So our bed doesn't get all kind of dog hairs. But she chills up on the sofa with us most of the time. You can't have a dog and not let them on the sofa.
Why do you think dogs love a sofa so much? You know,
I don't know, but they're close to you as well, don't they? And it's got your smell and everything. Yeah,
they love, they're so warm. This time of year, is there anything better than a little Christmas movie, cup of tea, and a tired spaniel in your crotch?
Indeed.
I just feel all this, not that my life is particularly stressful, but I just feel all the stress of the day just melt away.
You get a little ear and you get a little, and then they go, and you're like, you stink, get off the sofa.
Yeah, and then my dog will just run up. You'll hear that little pop, and then she'll run off, and you're like, I know what you've done. I don't know whether she scares herself off to run off or whether she knows what she's doing and she thinks, I'm vacating the region for a bit.
On that note, we'll let you know. Andy, it was such a joy to get to know you.
We've got to do Instagram story music.
Oh, God, so sorry. I was closing you up. Sorry.
One more question, Andy. Yeah, every week we share the podcast over on Instagram, and you get to choose the song that we put to our Instagram story and our Instagram post. What's it going to be?
Okay, so I'm going to pick a track called Pilgrim 2000, and it's by Bass X versus Scott Brown. Yeah, it's been my favourite tune for many years. Yeah, it's an old hardcore track, rave track, so I'm an old hardcore raver. And
I knew it.
I used to love it in the warehouse raves back in the early 2000s, and yeah, it's still my favourite track to this day. So if you could use that, it'd be much appreciated.
We can do that. Oh, so you'd be driving up the M1, wherever it was, finding some kind of disused industrial unit or something and having a rave somewhere.
So, I'm 42 now. So I was 18 in 2001. So I missed all the 90s like the illegal warehouse raves sort of thing. But I got into it where there was organised warehouse raves. So in Milton Keynes at the Sanctuary, they had organised warehouse raves there. So that was my sort of era. So I missed all the kind of stand by a phone box and kind of find out where the spot is sort of thing.
I'm just listening to it while you're talking in the background. I mean, it literally would, if I put that on when I was running, I would drop some 5-minute miles if I could.
There you go.
Do you listen to that during the race?
So most of the race, I didn't listen to anything. I use music as a tool. So my rule is I won't even start listening to music until night 2. Because I want it as a kind of
I do not like that rule, Andy. I'm not. Yeah. I'm like minute 2.
I know I'm fine until then, but I want it to actually give me a boost. Whereas if I'm doing it from the start, there's no additional value to it.
No offense, but with your music choice, if you did that from the start, you would be in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll lean on music. I'll lean on music and podcasts big time. I don't know if I could.
You don't in races though, Gary. You don't listen to anything in races.
It's really bizarre. Yeah, in a race. Literally go cold turkey, but if I even just leave the house without my headphones, I'm having a cold sweat.
If we're running together at Northern Traverse at any point and you say, Eddie, I'm going to put some music on, I'm going to know we've reached a low point when you're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Shut up.
Take the hint.
Dance gone on. Andy, so what a treat just before Christmas to meet you and get to know you, and thank you for sharing. It was a tiny bit of your story, but loads of really useful nuggets as well about backyard ultras. And the more we talk to people about backyard ultras, the more sure Gary and I are thinking we're gonna have to. You're gonna
Yeah, you are.
because we've heard so much about them, and I want to. I don't really want to experience it, to be honest, but I feel like I should do, because everybody that's done one does speak fondly, if I can say that, and people go back.
Yeah,
people go back for more and more. You know,
you might surprise yourself. You might enjoy it more than you expect.
Exactly.
I didn't know how I'd feel with a looped course, but yeah, I've got the bug. I love it.
We wish you all the best. Fingers
Thank
crossed
you.
for that top 15 for 2026. Keep in touch. And we look forward to seeing you out on the trails, and your lovely doggies one. Have a lovely Christmas.
Fantastic. Thank you both. Lovely to meet you both. And it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Andy. Take care.
Thanks, Andy.